Did you see the recent article that Google and Amazon are struggling to lay off employees in Europe, and they're offering 1 year of salary so that people will leave optionally, voluntarily? So if you were one of the employees, let me ask you, what would you do? Would you take the offer? Or would you say, nope, I'm going to stay because I have invested in this company. And if you want to fire me, you're going to have to go through other channels. They'll still have to pay, won't they? It'll just be a more painful process, perhaps. Let me ask you also, what is it that brought Google and Amazon to this place? We're seeing this kind of movement all over, people laying off. We're not always seeing a year's worth of salary being offered, although in Europe, by law, there has to be some sort of compensation that's offered, and so that will be naturally see it there. In US, we're not seeing the same sort of activity, at least not at the moment, but we are seeing the layoffs. So a question maybe underlying all of this is, we know that we hire globally right now because we can, right? As we are working in a hybrid situation, we can hire from any place that we want. We can hire people that have the same, perhaps, engineering background that are in another country, that the cost is lower, so we can hire more of them, get more work done. So when we do layoffs, who is it we're laying off? Is it the people with the cheaper labor? Is it the people in the home country that are perhaps more expensive? How are the decisions being made? What are the criteria? Do we have criteria? Does everybody know what those criteria are? I think so much is happening in an ad hoc, fast way in order to meet our numbers, in order to keep our shareholders happy, in order to be able to keep those balance sheets looking good and being able to show our shareholders what it is that we're doing. That we don't always look at what the ramifications are in the long run. How will people look at us? How will people want to work for us in the future? Will they see us as simply one of those companies that just comes and goes? They'll love you today, let you go tomorrow. And we're beginning to ask those questions more and more. Leadership, I think, is going to have to start addressing those issues if we're going to have a stable work environment. And I think the other thing we need to start asking is, what is a stable work environment? Is it a decreased work environment, just core people? And then we go to contract work and bring people in for specific work. That would mean that people might work for several companies. And how do we manage the intellectual property in that kind of a situation? We have to have many agreements. There are changes. The question is, what do we want? And how do we want to help shape that? I think it's a good time for us to begin these discussions. Voice your opinion. We'd love to hear your comments and to know what you think. This is big. It is very important that we have these discussions. Another question that we need to answer is, what really is the underlying cause? We see companies hiring and then letting people go, laying people off. Why? What's the underlying reason behind that? And how are we really managing our workforce? These are questions we need to address. So while people are losing their job, we also see that individual debt has increased. The cost of living has gotten higher as we've had inflation. Yes, it has gotten a little bit better in recent months. Yet inflation is there and is worrisome to many people. And we're seeing, because of the extensive debt that we had just a few months ago, people took on debt in order to sustain their lifestyle. And now they're being laid off. And so they've got debt, expenses, which they don't have income now to pay back. The question that begins to emerge is, what will happen to our cities? What will happen to our communities? Will we see an impact that will be difficult to pull back from and put energy back into our communities? We are facing issues that are really serious and are important. And I think it requires many of us to begin talking about it and to begin putting input into it. We want to know your comments. Let us know in the comment box below. We're eager to hear what you think needs to be done. Safety continues to be an issue, doesn't it? We see recently that Whole Foods closed their flagship store, their store of 65,000 square feet in downtown San Francisco. Why? They were worried about safety concerns for their employees. They could no longer protect their employees. They were afraid that they were not safe. We heard and saw recently on the internet that for an event in San Francisco this past month, Budweiser pulled their Clydesdale horses from an event because they didn't feel it was safe to have them there. Then we also see when Salesforce last year was having their well sought after and attended Dreamforce meeting, we saw that Amit Mogadon, CEO of the largest real estate company in the San Francisco area, Northern California area, was robbed at gunpoint. He then wrote a letter or email to the governor of California and to the mayor of San Francisco and said, things are out of hand. What is it that we're going to do? How are we going to address this? Because it's not safe. It's not safe for their employees.
When this happened, I said, okay, somebody's got to get up and actually say enough is enough. And I decided to do that.
And if we don't have safe environments, we can't sustain workplaces for employees. What does that mean for communities? How do you think we should address this issue? Is it that we don't have strict enough laws? Do you think we need to make them stricter? Let us know in the comments below. Do we need more law enforcement? Does that mean that our law enforcement police, for example, need to have more authority to arrest? And if so, will those arrests be upheld by our judicial system? What do you think needs to be done? Is there too much bias in the police and law enforcement field to be able to do that in a meaningful and fair way? Do you think that we need to have more equality at all levels? Is that what's causing the problem? Is the problem homelessness, drugs? That we have changed the laws about being able to go in and take products from a store and call it simply a misdemeanor. What in the past we called stealing is now simply a misdemeanor if it's under $900. If it's not safe for our employees to work, businesses will shutter or they'll move. A number of companies have left San Francisco simply because it's not safe or because economically it's not rewarding to be there any longer. McAfee, Lucas Oil, Allspring Global Investments. The flight attendant base for American Airlines left San Francisco. Chevron, Averitix, Digital Reality, Lion Real Estate Group, Charles Schwab, Oracle, Tanium, Hewlett-Packard, Arctic Wolf, Palantir, Norton LifeLock. We're seeing many people beginning to look at what is safe for our employees. They don't want to be responsible for putting their employees at risk. So in our need to be equal, to be tolerant, what have we created? And have we created what we really want in a society? If we can't sustain business, we don't have jobs. If we don't have jobs, we can't buy food, pay for our homes, and take care of our children. So let me ask you, what do you want? What do you think is important regarding safety? Let us know in the comment section below. I think this is one of the most important discussions we can have right now.